Previously in Assassin's Creed 2.
Look who it is.
Madonna.
But where are Bianca and Ottaviano?
I take it you would be the Orsi brothers.
Ludovico and Gecko, at your service.
Che miserie nascono dall'avidità. Requiescat in pace. Wait. Don't. Who are you? Stop. Don't open it.
Hello and welcome back to Assassin's Creed 2. This is our multi-part series looking at the DLC for Assassin's Creed 2. Our first part was called the Battle of Forli and brought us to, obviously, the city of Forli with Caterina Sforza. Today, we are making moves towards completing the Bonfire of the Vanities DLC, the second part, and I would argue much larger part of the DLC for this game. Now, if you remember from our last episode, we have left off with Figure stealing the Apple of Eden from us while we basically bled to death in the middle of a street. And we are now in search for this four-fingered man, I believe it's four. I want to say it's four. The one thing we're sure about is that he's a monk, so let's head to the local monastery and see if we can drum up some leads. Seems to me that finding the black-robed monk at an abbey would be akin to finding a piece of hay in a haystack, but eagle vision should help. So let's see. Beautiful abbey, I will say that. Oh, there he is. Seems to be in trouble. That's one. That's two.
Blessings on you, brother.
Grazie. I wonder if you can help me.
What do you seek?
A monk in black robes who lacks one of his 10 fingers.
Well, Brother Guido has only 9 toes. You sure it wasn't a toe?
Quite sure.
And then there's Brother Domenico, but it's his entire left arm he's lacking.
Again, quite sure it was a finger.
Now wait a moment. I do recall a black-robed monk with 9 fingers. Yes, of course. When we had our last San Vincenzo's feast at the Abbey.
Yes, I know the place. I'll try there. Grazie.
Go in peace, brother.
I always do.
Now that is an interesting accent to hear in Italy. Let's learn more about him. Born beyond the Pale, outside the area of British control in Ireland, which was considered savage, hence the expression beyond the Pale, Darby O'Callaghan spent his teen years hunting and raiding British settlements. In his papers, he describes the time period as a dark point in my life, but to be honest, I had my fun too. When O'Callaghan's Gaelic father married a Catholic, everything changed. He forced me to work the fields, no more raiding, no more girls. It was hell on earth, says one particular entry dated 1462. To escape his father, O'Callaghan decided to become a monk. I was told by my mother that monks did little work and threw large feasts for the seasonal holidays. Amazing. And now he's in Renaissance Italy. A strange place to see him, but a cool one nonetheless. He's pointed us in a direction, so let's head that way. Eagle vision activate. There he is. Bam. Perfect.
Excuse me, brother. I wonder if you can...
Unholy demon! Get away!
What's wrong?
You're the one who killed Brother Stefano! Brothers, the killer of monks has returned!
Oh, Lord. Well, come back here, please. Thank you.
Please, no, I don't want to die!
I only kill those who kill others. And your brother Stefano was a killer. I'm sure you are no such thing. Now, listen to me. I'm looking for a black-robed monk who's missing a finger.
Missing a finger, you say? Do you mean like Fra Savonarola?
Savonarola? Who is this? You know him?
I did. He was one of us for a time.
And then?
We suggested he retire to a hermitage for a good long time.
I'm afraid to say his retreat has come to an end. Where would he have gone?
Oh dear. Santo Spirito? In Firenze? It's where he studied. Perhaps it's where he would return.
I thank you. Go with God, brother.
That's right, we'll likely be dealing with Savonarola. Very famous figure from this time period. Surprised it wasn't in the main game, but should be very exciting. I'll talk more about him as we progress.
Hey Desmond, I think I repaired that busted memory. Why don't you try opening it?
Ah yes, someone has put the smog filter on in Florence.
If Piero had only a tenth of his father's talent, we'd still have some place to call home.
Interesting. I wonder who they're talking about. Perhaps a Medici? Let's listen in to the citizenry.
Never should have welcomed that mad monk into the city. Look at all the misery he's wrought.
I don't understand why he's so willing to accept his oppression. Sometimes I wish the assassin would return to Firenze, that we might be free of his tyranny.
It's just a myth. A story parents tell their children.
No, my father saw him years ago in San Gimignano.
Salve, Ezio. You picked a fine time for a homecoming.
Then it's true. Savonarola has taken control of Firenze.
Yes, no doubt aided by that treacherous artifact.
We should get to work on retrieving it.
That may be more complicated than you think.
When isn't it? Why don't you fill me in on things?
Walk with me. It all started a few weeks ago. The man everyone once reviled was suddenly the one they worshipped.
Ah, the apple.
Only in part. It's not the city he's enthralled.
And just a quick pause to say we are now in the extra district of Firenze for the first time in the entire game. The district across the river, as it is referred to by Florentines, Oltraiano, literally means on the other side of the Arno, is one of the oldest areas of the city, heavily populated by craftsmen. In addition, the religious community is well represented, with the monastery and church of Santa Spirito. This is where most of the DLC will take place, though all of Florence has been changed.
Men possessed of influence and power. They, in turn, oppress the citizens and ensure his will is done.
The people act as if they have no say in the matter.
Rare is the man willing to oppose the status quo. And so it falls to us to help them see the truth.
Those bodies bear the emblem of the Borgia.
Yes. The Spaniard keeps sending his soldiers into Firenze, and Firenze keeps sending them back. Usually in pieces.
Then he knows the apple is here as well. An unfortunate complication. Stay close. Follow my lead. Direct assault will be dangerous.
True. But what other option is there?
Aside from the city leaders, the people's minds are their own, correct?
See.
And and they follow Savonarola not by choice, but force and fear.
See.
Then I propose we use these to our advantage. If we can silence his lieutenants and stir up discontent, he will be distracted, and I will have a chance to strike.
Clever. I'll speak with La Volpe and Paola. They can help to organize the uprising as you free the districts.
Then it's settled. I'll take care of his abettors.
And there we have it. We have to track down all of Savonarola's lieutenants across Firenze.
Non si passa! Do you hear me? Until you've all submitted and given yourself over to the Prophet, Savonarola, this bridge will remain closed to you. I hear you moaning and complaining. You say you have things to do, places to go, obligations to fulfill. Ha! You have but one obligation, to submit.
Alright, well, while that guy prattles on about his beliefs, let me touch on some interesting history that we're experiencing here. Now, first and foremost, I have to recommend Death in Florence by Paul Strathern. It's a great book that details Florence at this time, and it touches on Savonarola, the Bonfire of the Vanities, the Medicis, basically everything that we've covered in the game. It does a great job of telling those stories. But to summarize some of the core points of who Savonarola is and was, he was a Dominican friar. He was extremely against corruption within the church, as well as the exploitation of the poor and despotic rule. That brought him into numerous clashes with the Medicis. Now, when the Medicis, got expelled from the city, Savonarola came to power. He was the de facto ruler of the city for 3 years. The game will shorten that dramatically to just this DLC, but for quite a long time, Savonarola was basically the ruler of the city. While in charge of Florence, Savonarola basically makes enemies with almost everyone in Italy. He disobeys orders from the Pope, preaches things that basically are counter to the Catholic Church at the time, doesn't mention Pope Alexander VI specifically, but basically implies that he's a horrible pope who is not following the scripture, and that gets him excommunicated in 1497, while the Pope also threatens the entire city of Florence. Eventually, Savonarola falls out of favor with the people, who he had become quite popular with because he was such a charismatic orator at the time. But he falls out of favor with them. The church kind of closes in on Florence. They condemn him, they hang him, and they burn him, along with 2 other friars who worked alongside Savonarola. He's an interesting figure because he is basically the Reformation before the Reformation happens. He struck out hard against the church. There's no need to demonize him like the game kind of does, and there's no need to honor him. It's just important to acknowledge his significance, which I'm glad they did in this DLC. So there's some basic historical context for why we are here, and we'll talk a little bit more about the real-life Bonfire of the Vanities, probably in part 2. For now, let's continue our hunt of this lieutenant.
Eccolo! You won't get away! You're not alone, brother.
You wear a noble's clothes. How is it Savonarola charmed you?
Wealth and power do not ensure contentment. I wanted even more.
And now instead, you have nothing. Questo non è che un atto dovuto. Requiescat in pace.
Oh lord, let's get out of here. Splash. Alright, everyone leave me alone. Ooh, that was weird. Haven't seen that kind of glitch before. Alright then, we have opened up a bridge. And that is probably where I'm going to leave it off for today. Thank you so much for watching part 1 of our Bonfire the Vanities DLC playthrough. Check back next time as we continue to check off the lieutenants underneath Savonarola.